Okay guys, I should be live. Hi and welcome to this live reaction and discussion and just response to Majorkill's video. Can the Mandalorian defeat a Space Marine Star Wars versus 40k? Paraphrasing here. So yeah guys, we are going to discuss just the fight section of his video. So as always, go and check it out if you haven't already. The link is right under the title down below into the description. So totally recommend to see this video because he is explaining how the Space Marine is and the abilities of both the Mandalorian blah 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 the blah blah. So the blah blah is anyway. So the Space Marine versus the Mandalorian, and each and everyone's attributes, abilities, and all of that. But most of you that are 40k fans are pretty informed already about the Space Marines' capabilities and the Mandalorian's capabilities. But nevertheless, Majorkill did an amazing breakdown of each, so totally please go and check it out. So we're just going to discuss the fight, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I'm both Star Wars and the Mandalorian fan, and as you know, 40k, so I am familiar with both universes. So yeah, I can totally have a lot of yeah, I can totally say who's gonna win and why, and see in what kind of a way or where I agree with Majorkill and where I don't. If I don't, I mean, we'll see. So, hi to everybody in the chat, guys, and happy Saturday. So, hi dear Clayton, hi Dark Zerich, hi to you. Oh, hi to Puck. And what is Dan Grogu versus Angel of Death? I'm not familiar with that particularly. I mean, I do not know every single 40k character yet. I know a lot, but not every single one. Okay, so let's see it and discuss. I'm gonna going to play, stop it, all of those things, so we can discuss now. Just to find the freaking, the freaking video is here, but for some reason I can't see it in my software, although I loaded it, which is very weird. Here it is. So let's start now. Oh, Irko. Hi to you, Irko. Okay, let's start now and see what he says.
Finally, Space Marines are functionally immortal, allowing them to live for thousands of years. During those years, they are constantly training against a huge variety of different enemies. Hundreds of years of experience combined with genius-level intelligence and
Okay, we haven't started even yet, but since I'm reading Fulgrim and I read, well, now a few books, I would definitely say that Space Marines are not immortal at all. I mean, they often refer to themselves as old and like wearing off basically of battle and all of that. And if Space Marines like too old, maybe live like 2 or 3 thousands of years, it's like considered pretty much old news or something like that. Well, that is based on what I've read, so it's not like they're super immortal or yeah. And Dante even, I mean, Dante is one of the best ever, most legendary Space Marines, and even he, when he takes too much of a beating, he's basically useless and he has to turn Primaris to fix himself. But that's just another topic. I don't know what happened there. I'm just mentioning it because it's one of the latest things that I got familiar with. But anyway, Space Marine, bottom line, is much stronger than a regular human being and much larger, and the Mandalorian is very small. So I mean, he is a normal human, very good warrior, but a normal human, with a very good equipment, but still a normal human. So continuing.
rapid thought process makes an Astartes a deadly tactician and a one-man army. So now we've measured their strengths, skills, and
Dark.
armory. It's time to pit them against each other in a not death battle, because that would be copyright. Also, the Space Marine will be an
Yeah.
Ultramarine because we need something generic for consistency reasons.
Generic.
To set the scene, Mando and Baby Yoda are on a backwater planet doing bounty hunter stuff and just chillin'. An Ultramarine in the 40k universe is in combat with some Titsnitchian demons and is hit with a bit of a warp spaghetti, transporting him across time, space, and reality to land on the same backwater planet.
Of course.
He is confused upon arrival but unharmed. The light from his portal attracts
so
the
confused.
attention of some of the alien natives on the planet who go to investigate and are promptly massacred due to the extreme xenophobia exhibited in Warhammer as opposed to Star Wars. Word quickly spreads of a giant blue killing machine that just slaughtered some of the natives, hence good guy Mando takes Baby Yoda and goes to investigate. His scanners pick up the presence of the Ultramarine nearby, so he places Baby Yoda in a safe spot and draws his rifle. The Ultramarine comes into view, and as he lines up his shot, the Ultramarine's extreme perception and own scanners reveal the Mando to him. Within a heartbeat, the Ultramarine bolter gun is drawn, and he begins firing precise shots at the Mando's position. Mando is barely able to roll behind cover as the explosive shots land around him. Using his wrist-mounted grappling gun, Mando is able to quickly latch onto a nearby mound and pull himself across cover without the Ultramarine being able to see him.
Okay, that first part, because it goes very fast, so that first part checks out, I think. It's pretty good. I mean, how he put things, that the Space Marine is gonna see Mando, Mando's gonna do this and just duck, and it sounds reasonable so far. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Also, Dante never did become a Primaris. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, thank you for letting me know because I will not get to that story anytime soon, so I would be in a loop, but now I'm not, so thank you. Okay, let's see.
Due to how hilly and forested the terrain is. In a new position, the Mando is able to take aim and fire his rifle, the first shot striking the Ultramarine in the shoulder. His ceramite armor spread the force of the bullet across the rest of his armor, however the disintegration rounds do a number with the top layer of the Ultramarine's armor being atomized. Necron! The Ultramarine hisses.
Okay, well, I personally don't think that the Space Marine is gonna be confused or just decide to call the Mandalorian Necron just because he wears an armor. I mean, he's obviously human that wears a metal armor. I mean, that is how, at least I would think that the Space Marine will perceive Mando, because he's obviously not a Necron. He's not made skeleton out of metal, like there's a huge difference, but anyway.
He runs to cover as another disintegration shot flies just past him. Mando has the Ultramarine pinned behind cover. The Ultramarine takes in his surroundings, then quickly and masterfully lobs a grenade above his head, with the projection taking the grenade straight to Mando. Mando sees the nade coming and runs, using his jetpack to boost his speed. The explosion is huge, but Mando is able to avoid it. With that distraction, the Ultramarine begins charging the Mando's new position, firing off his bolter gun to keep Mando pinned. Mando drops his sniper rifle and pulls out his Beskar staff as the Ultramarine drops his...
Okay, that's a Beskar spear, not a staff. It's not a staff at all. But yeah, I mean, so far, I think it checks out. I mean, it sounds, once again, it sounds really like, okay. I mean, it sounds that it's feasible, it's reasonable how the fight is so far going.
bolter gun and pulls out his power sword. Mando stands up to his feet and holds the staff defensively with both hands over his head, just as the power sword comes crashing down. The impact jars Mando's arms, but with the Beskar staff's extreme durability and absorption, he is able to successfully block the strike, much to the Ultramarine's surprise.
Okay, I'm really not sure if it's gonna, I mean, physically, if we're talking about physics and strength, although the Beskar spear is super strong, Mando is still the one that still, human that holds it, and if he just takes this kind of a force upon it, I'm not sure if he can still block that and I mean without breaking his arms or something, because the Space Marine can hit with a ton of force, like literally a ton of force, and for a normal human to deflect that no matter with what, I used to watch a lot of analysis, old armor versus weapons, all of those things, and basically one very interesting fact about the full armor, like the knight armor from the Middle Ages, is that although it cannot be penetrated mostly, I mean, somebody that fights with spears, let's say, or very long swords can like hit the parts where the joints are, where there's a hole. But the point is that if you hit a knight with full armor, with something that's very, very heavy, let's say you hit him on the head, then the impact is going to be so strong that he can get internal bleeding just from the hit. So that hit, that impact, that vibration is going to go into his head and still do severe damage. So in that kind of a way, if he is holding the spear and the Space Marine hits him with like such a huge force, even though the spear on its own can handle any hit or force, the Mandalorian's hands could not. So, but okay, let's continue, and I'm gonna check your comments.
The Ultramarine removes the sword from the clash and begins swinging at Mando. His masterful, deliberate strokes are met by the Mando's desperate and taxing blocks and parries, as Mando is forced back, his arms rapidly tiring as the Beskar rings out with each clash. The Ultramarine swings overhead again. Mando is once again able to block it, but is forced to one knee as the force of the block is felt through his whole body. The Power Sword edges closer to Mando's head, as the strength difference between the two warriors becomes very apparent, even with the power of the Beskar staff. As the Power Sword is inches away from his head, Mando activates both wrist flamethrowers that send a torrent of extreme heat straight into the Ultramarine's armoured face. The Termite is able to block the heat, however the flames obscure the Ultramarine's vision and surprised him. Mando disengages from the sword lock and ducks a wild blind swing by the Ultramarine. In a counter to the swing, Mando drives the sharp shaft of the staff into the Ultramarine's midsection, piercing the Termite and stabbing the flesh.
Okay, yeah, that should be possible theoretically. I mean, the Beskar maybe should be able to penetrate the Ceramite logically by what we know about the Ceramite and the Beskar, and Majorkill did also explain that in the beginning. So yeah, like I've said, go and see that if you haven't. But yeah, I mean, that sounds very reasonable. Although I'm not sure if the Space Marine will not be able to block that or deflect that hit, whatever that is. Oh, hi dear Ivy. So let me see what you guys are saying, and then we're gonna continue so the comments will not pile up too much. Oh yes, the Blood Angels will not, yeah, because yeah, they don't know if he can survive. Yes, yeah, I'm aware of that. Maybe that's not finished yet as a story. Maybe they're gonna finish that, and we'll see later on. I don't know. Mephiston was chosen to try the process out first. Okay. Oh, that's very interesting to me. I really have to get to that story as soon as I can, but I really have to get to Fulgrim though, because then a lot of information is going to just become like this, and I finally get to continue with Fulgrim because I couldn't listen to it for the past like 3 days, but I did. What? Dear Glyton! Dear Glyton! Thank you. That's amazing. That is amazing. I'm speechless. Thank you. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm speechless. Thank you very much for the donation, for the super chat. Thank you. It helps so much. Thank you very much, dear Clayton. I'm speechless. Whoo! Hi, Blade. Hi to you. Yes, I am. Another Majorkill video that we are dissecting, but only half of it. What is important. So yeah, good. Do watch it, check it out, as I always say. Bless you, like Ivy said, and hi to dear Ivy as well. Bless you, dear Clayton. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this makes so much difference, especially Christmas, all that. Yeah, I am speechless. Thank you, dear Clayton. I am so humbled. Okay, now forgetting how to breathe, but continuing with the analysis, guys.
However, not deep enough to cause serious damage. With his free hand, the Ultramarine punches Mando in the chest and sends him flying off his feet. Mando crashes into a ditch, but before the Ultramarine can draw his plasma pistol, Mando raises his arm and lets off his whistling bird launcher. The projectiles lock onto the joints in the Space Marine's armor and stab into them before detonating their micro but deadly payload. The Ultramarine staggers as his body tenses up, but he quickly recovers and draws his plasma pistol. He fires it at Mando, who's able to activate his jetpack in time and fly above the projectile's impact. Mando opens fire with his blaster, but is shocked to see the Ultramarine entering a full sprint at him as the blaster shots bounce harmlessly off the big blue boy. Before Mando can ascend further with his jetpack, the Ultramarine leaps and grabs a hold of his leg before swinging him down hard on the ground.
Yeah, that also sounds very reasonable, honestly. Yuri Horsian act of Guaranitization, yes. Oh, Ivy, you're epic with your words. Oh, okay, so you think, I'm reading Box comment, Ultramarine was calling the Mando a Necron because the Mando used the disintegration rounds, which Necrons, with their tech, their opponents to dust. Well, they're not the same, but... well, I don't know how they are described exactly, but I imagine they're not exactly the same. But, yeah, I mean, the Mandalorians little, they're so little. I would think that Necrons are much larger. I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me if they are. But even if he is using a similar weapon, this is still does not like replace his whole visual, representation of himself. I mean, he still looks like a human with an armor. He's not actually much different than any guardsman if you think about it. I mean, he looks better and like more fancy and shiny, but he's basically a guardsman, walking guardsman. I mean, visually, not by skill, but visually. So I would not imagine that Space Marine still is gonna confuse him with the walking skeleton with glowing green from the inside of the ribs, It's just, which is more prominent, how the Necron looks, or some weapon that you can grab and, let's say, use that is not exactly the same even. So I don't know, maybe it's just the Majorkill's humor, so to speak, because he is interjecting a lot of sarcasm and humor in every single sentence. You know how he is.
The Ultramarine begins to drag Mando towards him, but Mando pulls out his vibro knife and stabs through the Ultramarine's wrist plate and cuts through bone and sinew in a sickening crunch.
Oh.
The Ultramarine's hand involuntarily opens, but before Mando can fully stand up, the Ultramarine cracks him with a fat hook to the head, knocking Mando to the ground and dazing him heavily. The Ultramarine slowly gets up, the damage to his joints giving him a lot of pain as he walks over to his power sword and picks it up. He approaches the defenseless Mando and raises the killing blow over his head, but before he can swing down, he feels his body lock up by an unseen force. His body shakes as he uses immense effort to turn his head to see a small green Xeno using its foul psycho powers on him. Purge! The Ultramarine yells as he painstakingly turns his body and begins to take small agonizing steps towards the Xeno. The creature's telekinetic powers making each step a small victory for the Ultramarine as he struggles to close the gap. Eventually, he's only a meter away from the Xenos as the Xenos sweats in concentration. Finally, the creature gives up, drained of energy. As the unseen force gripping the Ultramarine dissipates, he wastes no time in slamming his fist through the skull of the Xenos in a satisfying crunch.
I can't.
No! He hears from behind him. Mando stands there, shaking in rage at seeing his companion, the one he was sworn to protect, as a mess of green blood and shattered bone. Mando begins sprinting at the Ultramarine, who scoffs at the poor tactical decision of the inferior being running at him. He puts the power sword in his non-preferred hand, due to the extensive damage done to the bones and nerves in his primary hand from Mando's vibro knife. The Ultramarine swings his sword, intending to bisect Mando, but Mando anticipates this. He drops to his knees and slides under the blow. As he passes the Ultramarine, he activates the Darksaber and cuts through the Ultramarine's hip. He quickly rises to his feet and begins to unleash a flurry of blows driven by loss, revenge and hatred. Surprised by Mando's ferocity, as well as using his offhand, as well as his joints all being damaged, the Ultramarine is unable to keep up with the Mando, with 1 in every 3 attacks from the Mando getting past the Ultramarine's guard and striking him. Most were stopped by his thick armor, but some were able to penetrate through and sizzle his flesh. The Mandalorian showed no signs of stopping or tiring as he took chunks out of his hated foe. After a few more strikes, Mando swings the Ultramarine's sword hand, slicing through his wrist and removing the hand from his arm. He follows it up with a straight stab that pierces the Ultramarine's heart. His secondary heart. Mando holds the blade in the Ultramarine for a second, tasting victory, but Space Marines have 2 hearts. The Ultramarine, using his remaining hand, pulls his combat knife free and stabs it straight into the gap underneath the Mando's breastplate.
Okay, there's so many things that happen here. So I always wondered if, because I have not encountered this before, if a space marine is stabbed in one of the hearts, does that mean that he's gonna keep living because he has one more? Their larger bodies are meant to be supported by 2 hearts. That is very, very logical to me. So if one dies, the other will not be able to keep up, so he can still die by that logic. But I don't know, I'm just saying, because I never encountered an explanation for that. So but yeah, maybe, just maybe, if he stab in one heart, he can still die from that. Maybe not. So and that the baby Yoda died is very horrible, of course, but possible. Dark Saber, where he's gonna, spoilers, he has a Dark Saber right now. So, okay, let's say that he still has a Dark Saber. That really can help him because he can cut through the Space Marine armor with that all day, every day. Okay.
Mando sharply draws in a breath as the knife tears through him. In the same instant, the Ultramarine
okay,
removes
thanks,
the
Dark.
knife and stabs it into Mando's unarmored neck, pulling it out and in again. Mando staggers back, choking on his own blood as he feebly claws at his neck. The choking lasts a few more moments before he falls onto his back, dead. The Ultramarine, seeing the damage to his body inflicted by what he now sees as just a man, is a bit embarrassed by the whole affair and begins to wonder how he will get home. So there you have it. An Ultramarine 9 times out of 10 would beat the Mandalorian. In this fight, I gave Mando all the advantages. He landed a shot with his rifle, didn't get directly hit with a bolter or plasma gun, and used his entire arsenal to great effect, but he still couldn't get the win. To his credit though, the disintegration rounds as well as the Darksaber were both capable to kill a Space Marine, but it's unlikely that a man, no matter how Latino he is, would be able to pull it off. I hope I did make the point here that he did put up a good fight, and it would be a great matchup, and it would be really entertaining to watch or, see animated. But the Space Marine's experience, durability, and power overcame the Mando's tenacity. Like I said, guys, if you want to see this animated like Doomslayer vs. Astartes in any animation style, then like and share the video. Or if you're an animator yourself, then hit me up.
So, overall, I cannot say anything but basically totally agree with Majorkill because, well, I think that's pretty objective way to put things, and he did give him a lot of advantages, to the Mandalorian, because otherwise he could be a toast, a very dead man very quickly if, let's say, the Astartes is a bit more unleashed or, doesn't want to hold back that much or, So, yeah, I think that's pretty objective for the most part. And yeah, the Mando, any Mando, actually, any Mandalorian will not last actually that long, honestly. The Space Marine will just go through him. He can just run towards the Mandalorian and just go through him like a tank, basically, if he wanted to. Of course, Mando's gonna move out of the way if he can see him quick enough. He also has his visor, so to speak, the helmet. He can see a lot of things with that. and assess the situation through the technology. So he does have some things going for him, but he doesn't have the physiology to deal with the Space Marine. So his equipment and abilities can only go so far. So maybe this is actually the best case scenario for the Mandalorian. Yeah. I mean, compared to a regular guardsman, it's totally different story. Then the Mandalorian should win, should win because he is very well covered with that armor. No lasers gonna penetrate that. Probably no bullet as well. And he is extremely skilled in every other way as a single functioning warrior, so to speak. And he's very adaptable to every situation. I mean, he was capable of defeating how are those guys called? A dark damn it. I'm talking about the last episode of The Mandalorian, so spoilers if you haven't seen it, but those troopers, the dark troopers, they're robots that are extremely strong, and he was able to defeat one barely, but still, they're very slow. I mean, they're very strong, but they're very slow. So, let's say if a Space Marine is against one of these, Space Marine is totally gonna win. I mean, that robot is a scrap, like immediately. So yeah, having that in mind as well. The Mando is very durable, and he can withstand a fight with one, but just one and barely, and he had to use all of his tricks, almost all, to defeat that robot. Otherwise, he was basically absolutely dead. And if he didn't have his armor, his head would have been just a huge splash of a lot of blood and brain on the wall of the ship. So that's what was going to happen right there if it's not for the armor. But he did display a lot of fighting skill as well in the same episode, or was the previous, where he didn't have his armor, but he was still able to defeat a lot of Xenos. I mean, a lot of some kind of a race that I don't know. But he was hurt because he didn't have his armor. He had just some very actually cool looking and fancy stormtrooper armor, but that armor just so ridiculously weak and just falls off. It's just stupid. Okay, I always wonder how the Empire didn't put a bit more resources into their stormtroopers, since they're getting killed left and right by absolutely anything. I mean, when I think about stormtroopers, I think about generic soldiers that everybody can kill, like absolutely anybody, like whoever it is, like the grandma of Yoda, let's say, whatever it is. Okay, just getting through your comments real quick. Hey, Skillus, hi to you. Okay, I get it, great. I get it. Okay. Actually, now that you've mentioned that the heart, the work of the two hearts was for that particularly. Yeah, I think that when I first started with the Space Marines, I actually read that, but then because I read too many things at once, I think I forgot. But yeah. Hi to Ivan. What is that crossover? Okay, so I just want to go back real quick and see what Dark recommended. Let's see. So let's see where it was. That's the problem with the chat, because things go like up somewhere and then I have to find them. So that's why it's the best for you guys to just leave me stuff in the Discord group. Now, for some reason, I still have to see why I'm getting my link changed all the time, although I left it to permanent. But here it is to everybody that wants to join the Discord Golden Astartes group. More for environmental. Well, they should make them for battle, like... Anyway, So guys, that was pretty awesome video from Majorkill, and yeah, definitely go and check that out. And the fight was pretty good. It's just very sad that nobody can animate it yet. I mean, uh, his Doom guy versus Space Marine also was awesome. I reacted, covered that if you haven't seen it here on the channel. Star Wars versus Warhammer Battle of uh, Christophsis. Okay. Okay, thank you, Dark. Let me just load that up as well and see what it is. Oh, that looks like a game. Okay, definitely not gonna watch that if I decide to cover it. But yeah, it looks interesting. Okay, I have it, so we are covered. So guys, that's gonna be it. I think I'm going to stream a bit Assassin's Creed just for fun. So, just for fun, whoever wants to join me and just have a lovely casual gaming time. So I'm gonna prepare for that and probably do it like after 30 minutes or so. I just want to say a huge thank you for the amazing support and super chat of Dear Clayton today. This is just absolutely, I cannot even explain how much this helps me, so thank you very much, Dear Clayton. And guys, thank you to you as well for being here. These days, YouTube has been very weird and did not show my videos in the feed, so basically nobody saw that I posted except you guys that are tuning into the live stream. So yeah, YouTube is screwing me up big time these days, and that is damaging for me and my channel. So this helps a lot and just comes in the perfect time, let's say, for sure, in a lot of ways. So thank you, dear Clayton. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna leave you for now. Have a great weekend, and for those of you that wanna join, like I've said, about 30 minutes, we're gonna play a bit Assassin's Creed and assassinate some very bad members of the Order and probably participate in the festivities for Christmas, where yeah, it's part of a new update. So yeah, the whole settlement is like Christmassy right now, and I never can win the drinking games because I'm very bad in drinking alcohol in real life and in games, apparently. So yeah, guys, without further ado, I wish you a very good night, and yes, thank you for the love, guys. Bye bye.